Movie footage used in the kill count is owned entirely by the copyright holders. Dead Meat makes no claim of ownership and simply uses the footage for purposes of education, commentary, and criticism under fair use. Please support filmmakers and the art of filmmaking by watching Jurassic Park 3 in its entirety on home media or streaming services where available. Welcome to the Kill Count, where we tally up the victims in all our favorite horror movies. I'm James A. Janice, and today we're looking at Jurassic Park III, released in 2001 by director Joe Johnston. I've got to be honest here, JP3 is when the series loses me. I know Lost World had its problems, but it still had a sense of wonder and a grandiose vision to it. In Jurassic Park III, the wonder is gone, and the story plays out like an episode of a 90s network drama. The whole movie has a real cheap look to it, the new characters are either annoying or useless dino food, and holy shit, there is just dino chasing after dino chasing after dino chasing after dino chasing. Look, I love a good dino chase scene, but the operative word there is good. JP3's chase scenes just serve to move the characters around the island a little bit faster, which I guess I should be grateful for, since the rest of the time these assholes are just walking around the jungle talking to each other. And yeah, Sam Neill returns as Alan Grant, but it's obvious he doesn't give a fuck about this movie and just needed to build an extension on his house or something. But hey, there's a new dinosaur in town, the Spinosaurus, so that's cool, I guess? I don't know, man. I was fine with the T-Rex and Raptors, but whatevs. Maybe the new dino will lead to a higher body count. Let's find out and get to the kills. The movie begins on Isla Sorna again, same island as Lost World, only nowadays it's restricted. This dude Ben and this kid Eric are on a boat with tour guide Enrique where they're about to dinosaur near the island in a dangerous attempt to get some great low-def camcorder footage of dinosaurs. Enrique and his helmsman hit some choppy water and drive into some fog, and that's the last we see of them. Because when Eric and Ben look down again after their tether gets tugged, they see that the boat is now empty.
What happened to them?
Hey, that's a good fucking question, Eric. Maybe a Pteranodon killed them, although, like, where the hell would it have disappeared to so quickly? I don't know, I guess JP3 just really liked the boat plot hole from Lost World and wanted to have its own. In any case, after the boat gets into more rocky territory, Ben disengages the parasail and the two of them glide their asses straight down into Dino Island. Yeah, that's pretty terrifying. Let's welcome Alan Grant back to the franchise as he plays plastic dinosaurs with little Charlie over here. Charlie is Ellie Sattler's son, but put away that DNA kit, Maury, because Grant is not the father. Instead, our lovebirds from the original are now just old friends. Charlie's progenitor is Ellie's husband Mark, a State Department dude who works at the State Department. Remember that, because that's the only reason this character's in the movie. State Department. Got it? Good. See you later, Mark. Alan and Ellie talk about good times and bad times, and Grant tells her that his latest sciencing shows that velociraptors could actually communicate.
They could talk to each other.
To a degree we never imagined.
Working with Grant on all this cutting-edge velociscience is Billy Brennan. Yes, a grown-ass man named Billy. Billy is concerned about their dig site's future funding, probably because he just spent a whole bunch of it on a 3D printer that he uses to scan a raptor skull and sculpt a resonating chamber of a velociraptor. Huh, wonder what that'll sound like. Oh yeah, sounds like a velociraptor. Their bird calling is interrupted by Paul Kirby, played by professional sad sack William H. Macy. He takes the two of them out to dinner with his mustache and his wife Amanda, played by Madam Secretary Taya Leone, and the Kirbys introduce themselves as rich adventurers who have done it all.
We even have 2 seats reserved on the first commercial flight to the moon.
Yeah, okay, lady. For their upcoming anniversary, they want something super special and dino-tastic, so they've chartered a plane to fly over Isla Sorna, and now they're asking Grant to be their dino guide since he's seen the animals in person. Grant is hesitant, but in an exact copy of the trailer scene with Hammond from the original, Kirby offers to fund his dino digs, and that gets Grant and Billy to agree. On the plane to the island, we get a copy of something from the second movie too, since Billy's got a lucky pack just like Sarah Harding did. 15 minutes in and this movie's already a bastardized clone, kinda like the dinos it depicts. Sharing the plane with Grant and Billy are a trio of mercenaries, but instead of being interesting side characters, they're just here to get eaten. So fuck them. Grant takes a nap and wakes up to the single most memed scene of the franchise. If you have the internet, you've surely seen it by now. It's that talking dinosaur.
Alan!
It's just a dream, of course, and the talking raptor is actually Billy the Boy Wonder, waking up Grant because they've reached the island. The Jurassic Park theme plays for like the 20th time in this movie already as they fly into the island and soar over a bunch of nice plant-eating dinosaurs. Grant starts to fulfill his guide duties but finds his audience treating him like he's leading a museum tour and they're a bunch of 5th graders, just completely ignoring him.
Mrs. Kirby, look. Out here you'll see a group of Triceratops.
Miss Kirby, we have a landing strip up
up ahead. You want me to put her down?
That talk of landing the plane gets Grant angry, but before he can do anything, this Cooper guy gets up and knocks him out in a real stupid POV shot of Bill Macy mugging and a fade to black. When Grant comes to, they've already landed on the island, arming up and yelling into a megaphone for Eric and Ben. Then they hear a dinosaur roar and some gunshots. There's no build-up or anything on screen. Nope, this movie's first dino sequence happens out of sight, and the only evidence of it is when mercenaries Udesky and Nash run out of the jungle all sorts of terrified. Everyone gets back on the plane and Nash begins a takeoff when Cooper runs back out of the trees and tries to flag them down. For his part, Grant seems very concerned for this guy he's never met before and who recently knocked him unconscious.
That's Cooper!
Nash says he can't stop the plane, but Cooper's boned either way, because a big ol' Spinosaurus rushes out of the jungle and eats him up good. Oh no, not Cooper. He was so... a guy.
That's Cooper!
The plane clips the dinosaur and that sends it crash landing in the jungle in a very violent manner, but that's okay. Nobody appears to be injured in the least bit. Turns out the plane is still high up in the trees, the perfect height for the returning Spinosaurus, who proceeds to tear off the front of the plane. Or maybe it just falls off. I can't tell, this movie's cheap. The Spinosaurus then attacks them by sticking his big Spino face in the plane and grabbing Nash by the leg. He rips the mercenary out and drops him to the jungle floor, then kills him pretty quickly with a just off-screen head bite that probably took it clean off. The fuselage falls from the foliage and crashes into the ground, then gets kicked by the giant dinosaur and rolls until it hits a tree. Still no injuries to these people? What the hell? The Spinosaurus messes with them a bunch and tears into the hull of the plane, but while it's busy fishing between the seats for those complimentary packs of peanuts, everyone makes a getaway. Now, you may be like, Spino what? Who the hell is this fin-backed fucker? That's hashtag not my dinosaur. For everyone saying that, don't worry. In no time at all, the humans run into the classic T-Rex, and yet another dinosaur chase scene begins. Then we see what it's like when dinos collide, because the T-Rex and Spinosaurus get into a dino fight! With the Tyrannosaurus Rex as the indisputable fan favorite, you might expect him to win the match easily, but JP3 is trying to put the Spinosaurus over, so the newcomer snaps into the Rex's neck and puts him down with a nasty snap, solidifying its role as the top heel in the film and roaring out a challenge. Come at me, motherfuckers! Spino's in the house! The Kirbys come clean to Grant and admit that they're a divorced couple who are looking for their son Eric, the kid from the parasailing incident in the beginning. The other guy who was with Eric was Ben Hildebrand, Amanda's current boyfriend. So what, that Eric kid went on a tropical vacation with just his mom's boyfriend? What the hell is going on here? Eric and Ben have been missing for 8 weeks, so Grant is like, dude, your son is dino done by now. I'm getting the hell out of here. As they all make their way through the jungle, more truth comes out about the Kirbys. They're not really adventurers, and they ain't even rich. Paul Kirby just owns a hardware store, so that science money he promised Grant and Billy ain't ever gonna happen. Sorry boys, but that's what you get for trusting the guy who looks like Bill Macy to be a billionaire. The group comes across the dinosaur parasail hanging from a tree and find Ben and Eric's camcorder on the ground nearby. The tape inside shows the Kirbys the boat crash, as well as confirmation that Eric at least survived the parasail crash landing. Great for him, but when Grant and Billy go to get the parasail down, we find out that Ben wasn't so lucky since his strung up skeleton swings down and smacks Mrs. Kirby in the face. I knew you liked him on the thinner side, Amanda, but this guy needs to get more meat on them bones. Don't worry though, Amanda tells Paul that she's too worried about their missing son to give a single rat's ass about her dead boyfriend.
It's not Ben, Paul. It's Eric.
Yeah, but can it be both? Or was that relationship just one of those rebound things? Then they find a nest of velociraptor eggs. Oh, scratch that, a whole bunch of nests of velociraptor eggs. They get out of there in a hurry, but Billy trails behind a bit, telling Grant he was just taking pictures of the nest. But, spoiler alert, Billy's a fucking liar. Through the trees, they find an old InGen structure, but not the same one from the Lost World, even though this takes place on the same island. God forbid we get that level of continuity. They enter the building and start doing some urban exploring, not noticing the dinosaurs running around in the background. We get some classic Macy emasculation after Billy breaks open a vending machine for some surely expired food, because Paul Kirby tries to follow suit only to hurt his foot in the attempt. At least he ain't getting cucked like your character in Boogie Nights, dude. Next up on the tour is a dino birthing center, complete with a bunch of velocifetuses and test tubes in a scene ripped straight from Aliens. But hold on just a minute, that last raptor's not a fetus, it's full grown, and it's playing a goddamn trick on them because it's alive! The velocifeathered raptor, with its new Charlie Brown hair, chases after the group and pushes at the door they're behind in a strangely human way. Amanda and Billy get away by trapping the raptor menace behind the door, but eventually it gets free and chases them all outside, stopping on the stoop to tell all his homies, looks like meat's back on the menu, boys! The 5 humans escape into a herd of hadrosaurs, which include the heel-headed Parasaurolophus and the crest-crowned Corythosaurus. Seems like a great way to get trampled to me, but the plan works for the most part and everyone makes it into the trees, except Udesky, who runs into an off-screen raptor and is later seen trying to crawl away from them and not getting very far. The Kirbys wind up seeing Udesky from from a tree and notice that he's still alive since he's moving at least a little bit. Amanda goes out to get him, but get this, apparently Udesky was left alive by the raptors as part of a trap, and they almost snap up Amanda when she nearly falls out of the tree. Billy and Paul get her back up on the branch, and the raptors honk some words at each other. They leave the clearing in a huff, making sure to finish the job and actually kill Udesky before they go. If they can't have him, no one can. Turns out the raptors were shouting, "Yo, we got Alan Grant in the house!" And they surround him, getting ready to have a good Sam meal. But then a bunch of smoke grenades land around them like they're on DE Isla Sorna, and they run away. Grant is rescued by a little Venonat-looking jungle lad who leads him away through the trees. The kid is Eric Kirby, of course, and Grant tells him that his parents are on the island.
Together.
Together.
Yeah, kid, your elaborate parent trap worked. Just kidding. Eric hasn't been parent trapping. He's been fucking surviving, feasting on, what is that, dog food? And keeping smaller predators, like these cute little compies, away from the truck he's been living in by using T-Rex pee as a deterrent.
How'd you get it?
You don't want to know.
Actually, yeah, I kinda do, kid, because it seems like something impossible to do. But fuck it, let's just have a pee joke, I guess. Who cares? While Grant gets to know their kid better, the Kirbys have a boring-ass scene where they talk about how different they are.
You drive 5 miles under the speed limit, Paul, and I've totaled 3 cars in 3 years.
Looks like their island time is bringing them back together, but honestly, who cares? These characters suck! The next day, Grant and Eric spot a boat that they figure would be mighty useful in getting off the island. On their way down to it, Billy stops in his tracks when he hears a generic cell phone ring.
That's my dad's satellite phone.
Yep, apparently in this movie, that's the jingle for his dad's store.
Kirby, Paint and Tile Plus, Westgate.
So Eric runs off into the woods screaming for his parents. They hear him yelling and run out of the jungle, so look, great, we got a real nice Kirby family reunion going on. But when Eric says that he followed his dad's phone ring to find them, Paul says that the last time he saw the satellite phone was when he gave it to Nash on the plane. And you know what happened to Nash. Now, just in case you thought you were seeing stuff, I'm here to reassure you that yes, you just saw a dinosaur jingle from its belly. I actually don't hate that gag, it's pretty funny. The Spinosaurus chases Grant and Eric along the fence until they're able to find a gap and get through it. The Spinosaurus doesn't let that stop him though, and simply busts through the giant fence that was specifically built to keep him out. And yet, when the humans reach this nearby building and lock the doors on him, that's enough to turn him away. Yo, JP3, you making my brain hurt! Now that they have a minute to breathe, Grant discovers something rotten. A pair of eggs inside Billy's lucky pack. Hey, this guy's stealing eggs, he an egg thief! Billy took the eggs so they could sell them and fund the dig site, since Paul Kirby's a fucking deadbeat. But Grant is still straight pissed at him. Instead of getting rid of them though, Grant decides to hold on to the eggs so they can negotiate a peace with the raptors later.
What if they catch us with them?
What if they catch us without him?
What? Is this like an in utero hostage situation now? They head down some stairs to get to the boat Grant and Eric saw, and we actually get a halfway decent sequence down here, because Grant realizes that they're inside a giant bird cage, and don't look now, but there's something in the mist, and that something is a Pteranodon. Yeah, it ain't technically a dinosaur, but it's still pretty scary when it snatches Eric like a wig and flies away with him. It drops Eric off to be baby food for its Tyrannokids, and the infant pterosaurs chase Eric across a bunch of rock spires, like he's in a level of Turok dinosaur hunter. Billy realizes he's gotta redeem himself for being the ovary burglar, so he leaps off a platform and unfurls the dinosaur glider, then skillfully maneuvers that bad boy around until he's able to pick up Eric in an evac. A flock of pteranodons fly at them, and their glider gets grazed, so Billy has Eric drop down into the river, then rides the rest of it out, right into a wall. Meanwhile, everyone else is getting attacked by that first pteranodon, I think, who winds up breaking all the platforms in the place and trapping itself underwater with a piece that breaks off. After Billy finally frees himself from the parasail harness, he's attacked by the pterosaurs in the water. Grant watches helplessly as Billy floats down the river, getting pecked at by a pair of pteranodons, as a third one looks back like, yo, you want some of this too, bitch? Grant does not, so he leaves. The 4 remaining humans make it outside of the birdcage, leaving the pterosaurs behind. They finally get on that boat and ride it down the river, searching for the Colonel Kurtzosaurus, but instead they find a bunch of herbivores in a repeat of the classic scene from the original movie, epic music and all. Yeah, maybe quit reminding me of that vastly superior movie, JP3. You're making me want to turn this off and go watch it instead. Night comes and they hear the satellite phone ringing again, but it's not inside the Spinosaurus anymore. By now, it's been evacuated into one of these big steaming piles of shit. They find the phone, and Grant bravely puts it up to his ear, only to hear some kind of useless automated message. Then we get a totally wasted cameo by a Ceratosaurus, who comes by to take one sniff at them and then peace out. No point to it at all, except to make a shit joke, I guess. Piss and shit jokes, ladies and gents. That's Jurassic Park 3 for you. Later on, after it starts raining, Grant decides to use the satellite phone's last bit of battery supply to call Ellie for help, but little Charlie answers the phone instead. instead, and Grant has to convince him to go find his mommy. While he does that, the movie references Spielberg's Jaws as the Spinosaurus re-enters the picture, rising up out of the water and sending all the humans inside the boat's safety cage. The Spinosaurus river attack is another really great sequence, helped by how good the dinosaur looks in the rain, but it's intercut with Charlie running around looking for his mom and getting distracted by Barney on the TV, so that kinda sucks. By the time he gets the phone to Ellie, the Spinosaurus has already bitten into a fuel tank and is pulling the safety cage off the boat. Grant is just barely able to get out that he needs help on Site B before they all go under the surface, and thankfully that's enough for Ellie to understand. The cage sinks underwater, and Paul Kirby, who had mentioned earlier that he was taking swimming lessons, is the only one able to escape before the Spinosaurus pins it down against the bottom of the river. Paul climbs a nearby crane and waves his hands at the Spinosaurus in a stunt that I was surprised to learn was done mostly by Bill Macy himself. Crazy. The distraction works long enough for Grant to find a flare gun underwater, resurface, and fire that bad boy straight at the Spinosaurus. The flare ignites all that boat fuel that had spilled out and scares the Spinosaurus half to death. Fire bad! Then the crane that Paul's hanging from falls apart. But wait a minute, steel beams don't melt at that temperature. I think this was an InGen inside job. The Spinosaurus stomps away because he ain't about to stand there and get burnt, and the Kirby family has a wet reunion hug. That's nice. Still sucks for Grant though, who's stuck by himself with these shitty characters. They hear the ocean and figure they're close to the coast, but as they run for the finish line, they're stopped by a whole bunch of velociraptors, who Grant says would have killed them already if it wasn't for them eggs they packin'. The humans kneel down in submission to the raptors, and one of them gets all up in Amanda's grill, sniffing her hair a whole bunch. What is that, girl? That herbal essence? Grant lets that awkward moment go on a beat too long, then takes out the eggs and hands them over to Amanda, who returns them to the raptors like, here's your unborn babies back. Then Grant takes out his raptor kazoo to have fun, and starts screaming into it, confusing the shit out of these raptors.
No. Call for help.
What the fuck? When did Grant learn how to speak Raptor? I don't remember that being an option on those Muzzy tapes. The Raptors probably didn't even understand Grant through that thick human accent of his. Instead, they're more interested in some distant helicopter sounds. They take off into the jungle, but not before grabbing the eggs back, leaving the humans behind to finish up the shitty movie. They all run out to the beach where there's a David Lynchian shot of a man in a suit standing there by himself. But turns out he's not alone. The Navy and the Marines show up to rescue Grant and the Kirby family. Remember how Ellie's husband works at the State Department? Yeah, it's cause we needed this to happen. Hope the Kirbys plan on paying back us taxpayers. In one more ridiculous coda, we find that Billy survived and is somehow already on the helicopter all bandaged and cared for, even though we heard these choppers landing just a few minutes ago. What the fuck ever. The movie ends with the Kirbys apparently getting back together, Grant putting his hat back on, and a close-up on a Pteranodon as it flies through the sky. The least this movie could do is give us a solid body count, but don't get your hopes up. I'll show you why at the numbers. That sound good to you, buddy? Yeah, that sounds pretty great. Dude, you're a Carnotaurus. You're not even in this movie. Yeah, well, fuck you. Only 6 people died in Jurassic Park 3, even though they could have killed everyone but Grant and the kid, and I would have been fine with it. The victims, like all JPs so far, were exclusively male, but don't worry, the reign of King Blueberry is coming to an end soon. With a svelte runtime of 92 minutes, we had a kill on average every 15.3 minutes. I'll give the golden chainsaw for coolest kill to Udesky, cause it's the most on screen. Real nice nasty neck snap there, courtesy of the Trapper Raptor. Dull machete for lamest kill will go to Enrique and his helmsman, who were killed in the beginning by who the fuck knows. And Diamond Dino for coolest dinosaur sequence goes to the Spinosaurus attack on the river. It's the best any dinosaur ever looks in the movie, and it's got a nice little structure to it, complete with a climactic water on fire ending. So thanks for that, JP3. And that's it. Jurassic Park 3 came out in 2001, and after this, the franchise would lie dormant for over a dozen years. When it re-emerged in 2015, it was no longer a Jurassic Park, but a Jurassic World. We'll be looking at that pratacular picture next week, but until then, I'm James A. Janice. This has been the Kill Count. Thanks a lot for watching this week's Kill Count. I want to thank a couple of patrons like Alexander Zirkle, Lynn Klein, and Martin Sandoval. My dinosaur collection continues to grow, and I got a nice little blue for the Kill Count next week. As you're watching this, I'm in San Diego for Comic-Con. If you're in the city or at the convention, let me know and we can meet up. Follow me on Twitter at DeadMeatJames and I'll announce a time and place for an official meetup there. All right, everyone, be good people.